Cha-cha.
Off what you were just talking about, how there's different ways to explore the world. One of them being reading. And I think that's one very, very important and
ugly. But we're not talking about ugly things. Well, I don't know that for certain because I don't know what you're reading. Shelly Brisbin is here with us, everybody. Shelly Brisbin. Boy, the week just flies by. We're not done yet, but it's already Thursday. It's Thursday-ish.
Come on, live in the moment. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. So I sent you a list of topics for today, and Thursday's was the topic that I sent you was what are we reading, and then it was in parentheses. Ha ha ha! I'm kidding. Let's talk about media consumption. Now, of course, we talked about media consumption earlier, but then you fired back on me as if I was accusing you of not being one of them readers that you hear about. Saying, hey, I'm actually reading something. So then I had to text you. I was like, I'm actually reading something too. You don't scare me.
I wasn't even trying to show off. I was just like, wait, reading, come back. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we are going to. I do want to make sure that we talk about some of the stuff that's going on in media, especially in hashtag these uncertain times. But I am very curious what you're reading.
Are you?
No, I seriously am.
That
because
sounded more skeptical than I meant it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine.
No, I'm reading right now I'm reading a book called The Yellow House. It's a memoir by Sarah Broom. It's a book about her family who lived in New Orleans, and their house in New Orleans East, which is no longer standing because of Hurricane Katrina. But it's really a longer story about a family growing up and changing along with New Orleans. It's an African-American family. Mm-hmm. And so far, I really enjoy it. It's a good book.
Is that a relatively recent book, or has it been out for a while?
Been out a year or so, something like that.
It's interesting to me that we're starting to get more Katrina stories at this point, because what's the one that Apple, 5 days and something? I can't remember. But it's
I don't remember the title either.
Apple TV Plus has signed some deal. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say there were a few Katrina, mostly films, either documentaries or fiction films, within a couple of years after Katrina, and then it sort of went away. But now you're almost to the point of, this is crazy to me because I remember Katrina so vividly, but you're almost to the point of most of a generation having passed.
That's true. Treme, by the way. Treme was an amazing, from the same guy, I believe, who did The Wire, David Simon.
Right, David Simon, yeah.
Fantastic cast. Really taught you a lot about music and about culture in New Orleans. And then in much the same way The Wire did, other seasons would start to tackle other things, including in the end when a bunch of developers just started coming in and buying up parts of New Orleans because now it was affordable. Yep. And, a tragic story, an interesting story. Also some really great music. Just a fascinating thing that was. I'm not reading anything nearly as heady, nor anything nearly as new. I'm reading one of the culture novels, the first culture novel, actually. Consider Phlebas. I don't know how you pronounce it because, I'm reading it and it's not reading it to me. It's weird. It's a weird book, and I don't know yet if I recommend it because I'm taking an incredibly long time to get through it. And it feels like a series of short stories rather than a novel, but, I'll have to get to the end and find out whether that was just the way he constructed it, or if he did a bunch of short stories and thought, these would all work together, and then sewed them up. I'm not sure.
How many books are in the series?
Yeah, okay, so that's kind of weird. I thought it was like 15 or 16, and then I checked Amazon, and it turns out it's like 9 or 10, but 2 of them are actually books of short stories. And the thing is, they are all novels that take place in a universe. So it's not like a series of 9 books. You don't have to read, one and then the next one, the next one. In fact, I've read either 2 or 3 of the culture novels with no idea that I was reading them out of order, because it doesn't matter. The culture is this thing that, it spans the galaxy. It's thousands of years old. It's basically sort of looks at different ways that people or cultures or societies might evolve or grow under this one, kind of big, overarching, not even a government, sort of a loose affiliation of ideas and ideals, I think. I don't know. I'll read all 9 of them and get back to you in about 10 or 15 years because I'm a really slow reader.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like you have to read them contiguously or go back and remind yourself what was in the previous one.
Not at all.
If you do wait a few years before you read the next one.
Yeah, I read The Player of Games, which was the first one of those I read. 97, 98 maybe. I read Matter, I want to say in 2009. And there's no... Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which order you read them in. It's not like Dune. Like the Dune books, if you don't read the Dune books in order, I don't think you'll know what's going on. Like, why is that guy there? Who are these people? Whatever.
Right.
So it's nothing like that at all. It doesn't... It's right. It's not contiguous. It's sort of like you can drop into one book and then, you know, if you never read any other ones. Go ahead.
In a series, if you're not sure whether you like it, because I have read series that I love as series, you know, and one follows another. But if I didn't love it, I would just stop, right? But if it's discontiguous and I sort of like a few things about it, but I'm not sure, I'll try another one.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing, though. This is the only one that I've been sort of questionable on. Player of Games I thought was fascinating because I had never read anything like it before. Matter, I had actually read something like it before, and that I had read Player of Games. He has a way, though, of writing that's... He can write very evocative passages. There are 4 pages in Matter that talk about coming face to face with a waterfall, the size of which this one character had never seen. And there's something about the energy. There's something about all that's happening, and the sound and the way the air sort of rushes around you and almost pulls the breath from you. That was just so incredibly spot on. Now, the only reason I know it was spot on is because I've stood under Niagara Falls, the tiny little part that they let you go under, right? Which hurts like hell. And it's just, and it's the tiniest part. I mean, you look at it and you think, wow, you could practically drink from that. And then when you stand under it, no, you can't, because it's still a tremendous amount of water that's still falling at a tremendous speed and still kind of not hurting you, but it's not gentle raindrops falling, you know, on a spring afternoon. And then you're next to the rest of that power. And what's weird is I was reading his thing on what it was like to face this waterfall. And he was hitting exactly everything that I had felt when I was standing at the base of Niagara Falls. Guy's an amazing writer. What's weird, though, is he's telling this huge science fiction story. So normally what you're hearing is just these ideas about, and here's this place, and here are these people that we're dealing with, and here are these things that we'll do. And then all of a sudden you're reading a 3-page description of something. And sometimes it's terrible because his books do have violent people in them doing violent things. And there was this one chapter that I was like, I'm almost done with this book because it was so gross. And yet I had to stop back and, you know, respect what a powerful writer he was. And sadly gone. He died of, I want to say pancreatic cancer or liver cancer in his mid to late 40s. Just about 5 years ago. So unfortunately we're done with those, which is too bad because he could have kept going and I would have kept, you know, buying his books and saying, I'm going to read that one day.
I mean, it sounds like something that if you like it, it's good for the hashtag These Uncertain Times moment, because it takes you away from your own life, not only in terms of whatever's happening in the book, but just in terms of the descriptions. And that's always interesting to me. I always enjoy that.
Yeah.
Writer.
Yeah. I want to talk really quickly about what's going on in media today because, as you just said, hashtag These Uncertain Times, which I know I say all the time. I've watched 2 movies that if they came out in regular times, I never would have gotten at the price that they were offered. I've seen Mulan on Disney Plus, the live action, and I've seen Bill and Ted Face the Music. Have you seen either?
I have not, which may or may not wreck this part of the segment, but we'll see. I mean, Mulan is just a straight up, it's probably not a movie I would have watched, as you say, and it's certainly not one for which I would pay the amount asked. They seem to have done really well with it, at least in the United States. It's funny because when I wanted to sort of remind myself of where I ended up Googling up Mulan and ended up with a lot of business stories, and they're at the point now where they're saying it's not doing so well in China, but apparently they did great in the United States. Yeah. So... And I watched the trailer and all, and it's just not a $30 plus Disney Plus subscription. It's just not something I'm going to watch.
That's right. You still don't have Disney Plus, do you?
I had it for I watched Hamilton.
Did you?
As I believe I said when we spoke last, I got Disney Plus for a month. I watched Hamilton. I watched a couple of other things.
Okay.
And then I said goodbye.
How'd you like Hamilton?
I liked it. It's funny because I was aware, and I give Disney Plus props for doing audio description on a lot of the original stuff and a lot of the back catalog as well. And so I turned audio description on for Hamilton, which turned out to be very minimalist. And that's unfortunate because there's an awful lot going on in Hamilton, and which is why I wanted it. I don't always use audio description, but if it's something where there's a lot of action going on and a lot of people doing different things, whether it's an action movie or whether it's something like Hamilton, which is basically a filmed play, but there's a whole lot going on and it's all in music. So the storytelling is through people's physical location on stage and how they're gesturing to one another and that sort of thing. Anyway, it was very minimalist and it was very disappointing. So I enjoyed watching Hamilton finally because I hadn't seen it ever. And I didn't enjoy the audio description, but I'm glad I made the purchase. I liked it.
The thing that I keep coming across, Hamilton not included, the thing that I keep coming across on the high price that they're asking for movies at this point is figuring out, okay, well, if the two of us went to see this in the theater, how much would it cost? And the answer is more than $30.
Sure.
Because if we're not going in the afternoon, like on a Tuesday at the old people time, like, I think it's at 10:30 on a Tuesday, I believe, is the one where you can get in for like almost nothing. And then
there's a reason for that.
Well, I understand, but then every time there's a little bit more and, whatever. And so, like, I've done before where, like, to go see, I don't know, that last horrible Star Wars movie. I want to say that was like $17 a ticket. So it's going to be $2 more to see, Mulan. Or I think it was $19.99 to rent Bill and Ted Face the Music, $24.99 to buy it. Which is less than going with two people to see the movie. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird because you're right. You're like, I don't know that. I don't know that I would
see it anyway.
Right.
That's perfectly sensible. And then a lot of people would throw in parking, and if they had babysitting for kids, which you don't, and then whatever high price snacks you wanted to get. I mean, you could. I don't mean it to sound that you can justify it if it's a movie that you were planning to see. And frankly, if the experience that you have in your home because you have a nice sound system or a nice television theater experience is one that makes that worth your while. But for me, it was never going to be a watch that I was going to, not to be honest, like if I had family members, if my nieces had said, oh, you have Disney Plus, can we come over and watch Mulan? Yeah. I probably would have done it for them.
Sure.
And that wouldn't have worried about it because that would have been $30 for a night of entertainment. I would have made some food. Right. It would have been great.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have spent the money on Mulan, but there were other people who would. And so we did.
There you go.
Yeah. Bill and Ted, that's not even a question. The fact that I waited a week because I love those movies. The one thing that bummed me out, though, was like right after that, then there was a bundle available. So it was $40 for all three of the Bill and Ted's movies, which I don't know in the other two. I just remember loving them.
Yeah.
But I'd already spent the $25 on Bill and Ted. Right. And so then if you're going to buy them separately, it's $15 each. That's
the way to do it.
That's a mess.
I mean, my memories of the first Bill and Ted have everything to do with the circumstances under which I watched it with good friends and just had such a good time. And we made Bill and Ted references for, days, weeks after. It just was delightful. Right. And I'm not even convinced that would be the case this time because middle-aged guys reliving their youth to just sort of be totally reductive about it is not super interesting to me.
It's not that.
But if I had the three of them, I'd probably be like, all right, I'll take that from here. I'll do that.
First of all, if you had the three of them, yes, I think definitely. But second, that's not all it is.
Yeah.
Just so you know. I mean, I'm not trying to get you to spend the money because I don't care. It's going to be cheaper at some point. It's going to be cheaper than $19.99 to rent.
Right.
But
I didn't have much urgency about it. If I'm going to watch it, which it's entirely possible that I will, I'll do it later when it's cheaper,